Hi witches, welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode 109. Today we're going to have a Beltane focus episode of the Witching Week. We're looking at Beltane energy and spell work, activities, things that you can do to celebrate the season. And we will be looking at some other topics as well. So grab a cup of tea, put some incense on, get comfy, and we'll explore the Witching Week. Hi everybody, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. It's Friday again. We're all sat here again. Goes past so quickly. Tea and incense. So I'm on the focus with the ginseng. I have to say this is my favourite. I will get some different teas to show you, but on the days where I really need a bit of a cognitive pick-me-up, then this is the one. My husband, bless him, he's gone out to do some work elsewhere so that I could film these videos in peace. But because of that, we were up super early and he didn't sleep last night, so therefore I didn't sleep last night, so it is a bit of a cognitive fog today. So please bear with me. And yeah, incense, well, this just shows you I haven't actually lit it, so let me do that. Usually I do that before, but I'm obviously not quite with it today. This is Dane Al Oud, really heavy. Oh, it's sort of on fire, but not lit. One of these heavy, sort of musky agar wood incenses, beautiful. Right, we're rocking and rolling now. Oh yeah, this one is super smoky, so I'm probably going to be wheezing. Right, there we go. Oh, nearly snapped it. How are you doing? How has your week been? Well, today is Good Friday, also known as Black Friday, Holy Friday, Great Friday, Great and Holy Friday, and Friday of the Passion of the Lord. And as we all know, this is a solemn day in the Christian calendar. It commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus and his death at Calvary. It is a bank holiday here in the UK, so I shall be spending some of today with family. It's really late this year. Of course, it's done in relation to the lunar cycle and when certain things happen. But it's been a weird year this year because spring has felt like it came really early and has been absolutely fantastic. I can't stop going on about how awesome this year's spring has been. And then Easter is late, so it's really strange. We've got 2 weeks until Beltane, just under actually. And yeah, 2 weeks to go, and we're celebrating Easter this weekend, or some people are. So yeah, very weird. And then of course, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you've got just under 2 weeks until Samhain. So yeah, it's all happening. So I thought it would be a really good idea to talk about Beltane. We have not done that in much depth actually so far on the Witching Week, and we do have less than 2 weeks to go. So I would love to know, what does Beltane mean to you? When you think of Beltane, what images immediately spring to mind? And if you're not sure, why don't you pause the video and just stop and think about what comes to your mind, to you, when you think of Beltane. It might be that the idea of Beltane to you is slightly different because we live in different geographical areas and different things happen. Of course, there are those common magical correspondences and energies and themes, but there might be something that's just related to you. It might be a tradition you have. It might be something that flowers at this time of year that I don't have where I live. There might be something that you correlate Beltane to. It might be that it's finally warm enough to let your, I don't know, your rabbit or your guinea pig roam. Well, let me know if there's something that's really special to you, and let me know as well if you think that you have something that you associate with Beltane that perhaps other people don't. I would love to hear. Now, of course, it is a spring celebration. It's not necessarily a celebration of spring. We're at the peak of spring, and actually, although this is a spring celebration because it happens in spring, we're actually thinking about the first stirrings of summer. So we touched on this last week when we were talking about the hawthorn and the hawthorn flowering. We're talking about those beginning moments. We're talking about that transition into the summer months. And actually, for once, this has actually been reflected in our weather here. We have had glorious weather for the best part of about 4 weeks now. It did get a bit cold and wet in the week, but I think we probably needed the rain. And we are back to glorious sunshine again. So nice. Last weekend, Justin and I did attempt to walk. I wanted to give my heart a little bit of a test, and I will be doing the same walk again in about a month's time. And it was absolutely glorious out. Now, I have been able to see some changes, which I can obviously talk about with the cardiologist, but you guys aren't interested in that. Let's talk about the weather. It was absolutely beautiful. It was warm enough to get a suntan. I didn't actually catch the sun, but I was covered up, but equally I was in just like one thin cotton top and I was too hot. I had a very pink face by the time we were done, but it was just so beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. Did you get out on that day? I'd love to know, but I would love to know what you think of when you think of Beltane. What springs to mind? For me, it is the hawthorn, and in particular the hawthorn flowering, so Crataegus monogyna, that is the binomial name for hawthorn. I think of fairies and the fae and that kind of mystical, magical side of things. I think of passion and love and lust. I think of everything being green. Everything is kind of filled out, everything's very verdant, and the bees are buzzing, and you know, once upon a time you'd look and you'd be able to see for miles because all the trees were bare. Now everything has filled out, so there are barriers, there are walls of greenery. I think of the Green Man, I think of dressing in green at Beltane, and I've done the same today in honour of our video. I think of celebrating and feasting and drinking and meeting up with friends. We quite often see friends on Beltane or sometime around. Think of this very, very high creative energy and feeling very productive and much more in tune actually with the earth. I feel at this time of year, for me, this is when I feel much more in tune with everything. I think of the veil being thin at Beltane, and I'm going to talk about that over on Patreon before we talk about this anywhere else. Quite often I'll see conflicting views on whether the veil is thin or not at Beltane, but I never ever see anyone give their reasoning why. And I grew up being taught that the veil was thin at this time, but when I took some serious magical training about 6 or 7 years ago, my tutor, she very much believed that it wasn't the way it is, you know, perhaps at Samhain, sorry, trying to get my words out there, but never really explained why. I am going to give you my thoughts and my reasoning, which I just don't see anywhere. I think of the light evenings, I think of joy and merriment and the abundance. Basically, for me, this is just the most amazing time. And I believe that time should be set aside around about now for celebration and really enjoying life and just taking note of everything that is wonderful. I think of the Sun card in tarot when I think of Beltane. It's a super positive time. I also think about my ancestors a lot at this time. Can you imagine how people must have felt when it rolled around to Beltane and they were celebrating the end of the winter? I mean, we really experienced quite difficult winters in this house. So this is really a celebration for us as well. It's finally a lot more temperate in the house. It's comfortable finally. You might have to wear a jumper, but at least we're not freezing cold. But can you imagine that times 1,000? You know, when you think about lives people used to live, and can you imagine how that sense of relief must have felt, how big that would have been, how palpable that would have been. There would have been a real sense of community at this time. There were rituals for protection, for all sorts of blessings, for fertility, and I would say just for the, you know, for pure joy. What an incredible time this must have been after the labour and the harshness of winter. Pure happiness. And really, that it's reflected in the name, isn't it? You know, bright fire or Bel's fire. And there is this nod to the Celtic sun god Bel. So What a beautiful time of abundance and fertility and growth and all of this sort of celebratory energy. Obviously, the harvest is actually a year-round job. We think of the harvest as being a couple of months in the autumn, but obviously growing and tending, that's a year-round job. But the hardest sort of work of that job has not yet come. So there is this celebratory moment where the weather's good, people are feeling good, people have survived the winter, and now they get to just have a little bit of play and a little bit of joy before, you know, things get harder and before it gets hotter as well. Such a lovely time. So I thought we'd look at some correspondences for Beltane. In terms of colours, we are thinking of green, which obviously reflects the burgeoning energy and growth of this season and everything popping out, like I said. And we're thinking of red as well, red for life, basically. So red, green, white, brown and pink, really. Those are the main colours. In terms of gods, we are thinking about vegetation gods, gods related to nature and the forest. So Bel, of course, the Celtic sun god, because he is related to the celebration of Beltane. We're thinking of Bacchus and Cernunnos, Herne, the horned god, the green man, Pan, Odin and Frey. In terms of goddesses, again, very similar. We're thinking of Aphrodite, Diana, Artemis, Bast, Skadi, Venus and Freya. So yeah, lots to be getting on there in terms of your spell work if you want to call upon a goddess or god. We are talking about working with deity in Patreon next month in May. We're going to be covering the basics, but the really important basics. So if you would like to know how to work with deity and how best to go about it, come and join us on Patreon. But in terms of spell work and themes for Beltane and for May, we are talking sacred union between the goddess and god. We're talking about unions of all kinds, all new life, creation, love, abundance, growth, joy, fertility, the end of winter, as we've just mentioned, passion, and anything to do with spirits and fairies. It's a really good time to connect in with those. So glorious, as you can tell. I am super excited and I would love to hear in the comments what your plans are for Beltane. I want to read something to you actually today from the Sacred Celebrations guidebook by Glennie Kindred. So this has a different cover now. I've talked about this book a lot on the channel. I think it's got a blue cover now. It's a little bit different. I think it might actually just be this image here. But anyway, it's called Sacred Celebrations, the source book. And I'm trying to think what it is now called. I'll put a link to it in the comments. I'll link to it in the comments. But anyway, I wanted to read to you about the underlying energy of Beltane. This is the beginning of the final and most actively potent of the waxing phase of the sun's cycle. All of life is bursting with fertility and the power of its own potential. Everything is in the process of becoming. This is the peak of the spring season and the beginning of summer, the onset of the growing season when the earth is clothed in green, the vibration of love and the heart chakra. Flowers are everywhere, birds and animals are having their young, the sounds of birdsong fill the air. It's a time of sunshine and rain, swelling and bursting, rising sap and fresh new growth. The earth's energies are at their most active. The dragon paths can be intuitively sensed or dowsed. This is the perfect time for walking these ancient energy paths. Beltane, like its opposite on the wheel of the year, Samhain, marks a particularly potent transition in the yearly cycle. At dawn and dusk especially, the boundaries between worlds are thin and we may find ourselves spellbound by the power of the moment, touch the fairy realms or experience the paranormal. This will bring insights and understanding which will greatly expand our consciousness. From here to summer solstice is the peak of the sunlight and the conscious outward expression of ourselves. During this high energy time, we need to be aware of where we are and what we want and need. Create the most fertile and positive environment in which to grow the seeds of yourself. Reach out for what it is that you want and let the energy of growth whisk you along. It is a time to honour sex in its raw state, to see this as a part of the cycle, to allow the extreme to exist, which is part of nature and the expansive energy. Beltane brings the union of opposites, the rational and the intuitive, the active and the receptive, fire and water. Fertility comes from the blending of these two energies, regardless of gender. Fertility is inherent in everything. Everything is possible. Manifestation is reaching the height of its power. So I thought that was a really, really good explanation of Beltane and what it's all about. If you're new to witchcraft and you're new to the Wheel of the Year and you're new to celebrating Beltane, you might wish to look upon it as the traditional May Day, but this is what we're celebrating at this time of year. So some really, really simple activities that you can do at this time of year include having a Beltane bonfire, obviously, hosting a celebration or feast, wearing green to honour the earth and her burgeoning energy and her cycles. You could create a flower crown using either green wire to make a circle or using willow to do the same, and then you just simply sort of weave flowers and leaves and things within that. You could create a Beltane altar and cover it in spring flowers. That's always a lovely thing to do. Very, very simple. Doesn't take a lot of time or a lot of energy or a lot of money. You could spend the day and the evening outside to mark the day, obviously providing that the weather's good. It is a bit hit and miss here in the UK. You could make love outside. You could have a picnic. You could dance the maypole. You could go to a May Day event. There are lots of Morris dancers that go either have their own events or they are at May Day events. So there's usually something happening across the UK. There are big Beltane festivals as well. So for example, in Glastonbury or down in Hastings, they have Jack in the Green. I'm not sure if they do that actually on Beltane itself or on the May Day bank holiday for the Hastings one. I have a feeling it's the May Day bank holiday. But anyway, lots of things that you could do and you could get up to. So this weekend we are actually entering Taurus season. The sun is moving into the sign of Taurus this weekend. And what does this mean for us all? Well, we only have to think about the star sign Taurus to get an idea of the energy of this time. It is a very grounded sign. It is very related to the earth, which ties in perfectly with Beltane. And it really is an invitation to come home to our bodies and to ground them and to be aware of what's going on in our body, to nurture it and to nurture our nervous system, to connect our body with the earth. So actually grounding, taking your shoes and socks off and walking in the grass is a fabulous thing to do at this time of year, and to become in sync with the earth and to remember that we are actually a part of the earth. So really it's about embracing the energy of Beltane when we enter Taurus season. It's a very healing, stabilizing, connecting, purifying, and I would say energizing time. Taurus is of course ruled by Venus, and Venus again is all about connecting in with our bodies. It's about the foundation of self-love and simple pleasures, and just sort of accepting that our bodies are sacred and tapping into that. That's very special energy. So this is a great time, of course, for self-care, self-love, self-acceptance and self-pleasure as well. We think about Beltane being about sex and, you know, having a partner and that kind of union, but actually, you know, if you're on your own, there's nothing wrong with a bit of self-pleasure as well and connecting in with yourself. It doesn't have to be about another person. So yeah, have fun. It's Beltane, it's May. Well, not quite, but that's what we're talking about. So yeah, I hope you all have the most fabulous May. We will have another witching week before that happens, but I feel like we're there. I feel like we are in the energy of May already. So I had a little bit of fun this week with ChatGPT, and before you all come at me in the comments, I know the positives and negatives of AI. I know that there are lots of issues with this. I know that there are pros and cons. There are many cons, and actually there are quite a few pros as well. AI is actually used quite often in healthcare, especially when it comes to like heart related matters and stuff like that. But anyway, moving on, I thought I'd have a bit of fun with it, and I created some witchy images of myself. So I'm going to put the prompt down in the description box so that you can use the prompt as well to create an image of yourself if you wish to do that. I created 3 images of me that I don't think they quite got there. I don't think that they look like me at all. What do you think? Let me know if image 1, 2 or 3 looks like me. I think the last image is probably the most accurate. I'm kind of a Ren/Dawn French witch, I think, which is about right. I asked for grey hair, and AI immediately made my face look older. I'm not showing you that one because it didn't look like me at all. And I had to say to AI, grey hair does not mean an older face. But yeah, this was the best that I could come up with. But the piece de la resistance, apart from the fact that his feet are not in the plastic packaging, and then it all went wrong from there, but the piece de la resistance is this one of Justin, which is absolutely hilarious. His first reaction was, that does not look like me. It does look like him. I was like, I'm sorry, babe. It does look like you. He was, if you don't know, he was a paratrooper for 24 years. And so this is how he looked once upon a time. And I think it is just absolutely brilliant. So going from one bit of fun to another, I want to tell you about a film I watched in the week. It's called Sisu, and it's a film from 2022. It is a Finnish historical action thriller. So it has subtitles. It features, or it stars, I should say, Jorma Tormilla, who plays Atami, who is the main character. He is absolutely brilliant. This film was brilliant. So set in the Lapland War between the Finnish and the Germans, Nazi Germans, and he was a Finnish army commando who became a gold prospector. And basically he's out in Lapland and he's about to get robbed and murdered by these SS officers and soldiers, and then basically all hell breaks loose. And I have to say, it starts off really, really strong, and then it becomes more and more ridiculous in terms of what one man can do, but it was absolutely brilliant, and you just have to go with it. You just have to go with it. Basically, the bloke is a complete ninja, and he just kind of like destroys everything and everyone around him. So very, very entertaining. The landscape is beautiful. It was actually filmed in Lapland, so very authentic. And even my husband, who it can be a bit critical of things, especially army related films, he was like, if you just suspend your belief and you just go with the pure creative flow of it and the fun of it, then actually it's brilliant. So yeah, we really, really enjoyed this. If you want a good, fast-paced action film with beautiful landscape, but it does have violence in it, but it's not gratuitous, and it tells a really good story. It's very entertaining. So yeah, go for it. Really, really fun film. Someone I discovered this week is Sutej Singh. You need to check this guy out. He is an Indian guitarist and composer. He mainly plays progressive rock and metal. I'm assuming he's sort of an up-and-coming star. His debut album came out in 2018, so quite a while ago. But he played 3 major festivals in India last year. So it feels like really he's just becoming known across the world. Check him out. He's absolutely brilliant. Again, I shall put a link in the description for you guys. And I think it's time for some cards. It's time for some cards. Please let me know what your plans are for Beltane. Let me know if you've had a good witching week or not. That one jumped out, so we're going to have that one. And let me know generally what you have been up to. Are you going to wear green on the 1st of May? Or maybe it's Samhain for you. Let me know your Samhain plans. I'd love to hear. Okay, 3 cards today, like last week. These ones jumped out at me. So we have the Lovers, we have the 6 of Cups, and we have the 6 of Wands. So I feel like this message is about some of the choices that we've made in the past, and perhaps feeling some sadness and some regret over those decisions. I want to say to you that, you know, we do our best all of the time, generally speaking, as human beings. And sometimes some of the decisions we make, we had to make. And we did that with the best amount of knowledge we had to hand, with how we were feeling. And basically when presented with a situation or facts or what have you. So I don't want you, and this message isn't going to resonate for everyone, it might just be 1 or 2 of you. I don't want you to be dwelling in the past and regretting the choices that you made. And by the very nature of life, sometimes the choices, even if they're very, very small, that we make can have huge consequences. And that's just how life works. So revisit the past if that's what you have to do. Go back in time, think about things, reflect on things. Maybe go back and comfort the inner child who is still feeling bad all these years later about the consequences that you had, the choices you had to make at the time, and just comfort that child. Have a little think, have a trip down memory lane this week if you need to. Perhaps there will be something that will trigger all of this in you. Go there, dwell for a moment, work it all out, and then it's time to come back to the present. And I want you to actually be really, really proud of who you are and proud of the choices you had to make, knowing that you did your best, and know that it's okay. You know, we are now firmly in the present. We're not in the past anymore. And for you to have a happy future, this is what you have to do. And it's okay to be proud of the person that you've become, no doubt because of some of the experiences you've had in the past. It is okay. I'm giving you permission to relax and to accept yourself. So again, we're talking about this self-love, self-acceptance, very much in keeping with this time of year. And to just actually, rather than just accept and go, okay, I did what I need to do, actually to go that step forwards and say, I'm proud of who I am, and I'm going to celebrate that. And I'm going to shout that from the rooftops, and people are going to celebrate alongside me. I'm okay as I am. I did what I needed to do, but I'm now here in the present, and I'm celebrating who I am and what I have achieved. Okay, thank you so much for being here. It's been so lovely to chat with you all this morning and have a cup of tea with you guys. And I'll be back. I'm planning to be back next week on Friday. We are entering into a really busy couple of weeks now with Easter and family and things like that. So I'll do my very best to be here, but I'm not planning on going anywhere. So enjoy your cup of tea and your incense, and I shall see you next week. Have a lovely Easter weekend. Love and blessings. Bye.